All right, so today we're going to try and figure out this pretty wild story.
Yeah, this one's a real head-scratcher.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Barbie and Peter Reynolds, a British couple.
In their 70s.
Yeah, in their 70s, and they're being detained in Afghanistan. So what's crazy is that they've been in Afghanistan for a while.
Yeah, so the Reynolds, they're not new to Afghanistan at all. They've been running all sorts of training programs there for over 15 years.
Wow.
And they even decided to stay after the Taliban took over in 2021.
Which is wild in itself.
It is a pretty big decision.
Okay, but it gets even more complicated because Barbie actually got a certificate of appreciation. Yeah, from the Taliban for the work they were doing.
You can't make this stuff up.
I know. So then
Yeah.
everything changed. February 1st of this year, their home in Nyack was raided.
And they've been detained ever since.
And their daughter Sarah's been
Trying to find out,
desperate for information
yeah,
about what's happening with
what
her.
their condition is like.
Yeah, and for a few days they were able to send like these short little texts,
Just saying they're okay.
right? Just these little reassurances,
Yeah.
but then nothing.
Radio silence.
And Sarah's especially worried because
Her dad, Peter,
Yeah.
has a heart condition.
it's scary.
Yeah, it's a really worrying situation.
You would think that if their work was approved,
By the authorities.
yeah, by the local authorities,
You'd think they'd be in the clear.
you'd think definitely something else is going on.
The children have even written an open letter pleading for their parents' release.
Wow.
And they say they're completely bewildered
Yeah.
by this whole thing, saying that they truly believe that their parents' work was actually in line with what the Taliban believes in.
Yeah, in line with the Taliban's values.
It's a really tough situation.
What a nightmare for this family.
Yeah, I can't imagine what they're going through.
I mean, their parents are detained in Afghanistan under Taliban rule.
And they have no idea what's going on.
It's just awful.
But this brings us to something else that's a bit complicated.
Okay.
The Taliban has banned women from working.
And girls from education.
Right. Girls from education beyond primary school.
So
Yeah.
how does that,
So how do you square that
yeah, how does that make sense?
with them being okay with the Reynolds work, which is all about empowering family?
It's contradictions.
It's a really big contradiction.
It almost seems like there's like different groups within the Taliban.
That are like fighting
Yeah, like maybe they don't all agree on how things should be run.
or what role, if any,
Yeah.
Westerners should even have in their society.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It really makes you wonder. Some experts think that there are actually factions within the Taliban.
Okay.
Some are more hardline than others.
Oh, I see.
So maybe detaining the Reynolds could be a sign that,
That things are changing.
yeah, that there are some power struggles going on.
Internally?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or a shift in like who's really calling the shots.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and unfortunately this isn't an isolated incident.
So there have been other cases like this?
Yeah, since the Taliban took over, we've seen other British nationals detained.
Okay.
Like Kevin Cornell, he was a paramedic
Okay.
who got caught up in like some sort of weapon licensing issue.
Oh, wow.
And then you've got Miles Routledge,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
the danger tourist.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't really get it either, but
What possesses people in those situations?
he seems to like actively seek out these volatile destinations.
The whole other conversation about what makes people do that.
But anyway, both he and Cornell were released,
Okay.
along with two other British men back in October of 2023.
But the Reynolds are still
Still being held.
So why?
It's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
Why detain the Reynolds when they've got this history of doing good work there?
Right, they even got recognized by the Taliban.
Exactly. So it's possible that this is like a sign of things getting tougher within the Taliban.
Okay,
Maybe a step away from being tolerant of any Western influence.
I see.
Or it could be a way to just show they're in charge.
Okay,
Sending a message that no one is
Yeah.
above their laws.
right. No matter what you've done in the past,
Yeah.
this whole thing, it shows how
Yeah.
unstable things are in Afghanistan.
Even for people like the Reynolds who've spent years there.
Right, dedicated their lives to it.
Yeah, and thought they understood how things worked.
It can all change so quickly.
Yeah, in an instant.
And that's why the Foreign Office...
Yeah, they're still advising again.
Damn.
Any travel at all.
Right.
And the Reynolds case is a pretty stark reminder of what can happen.
If you ignore those warnings. So where does this leave us? So many questions. Definitely a British couple caught in this just...
Really complicated geopolitical situation.
It makes you wonder if this is just one incident. Is this how it's going to be from now on?
Yeah, is it going to be even more restrictive? It's a situation we'll definitely have to keep our eye on.
We'll have to revisit this.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you so much for breaking all of this down with me. It's a tough one, but it's important.